Let's have a look at a way you can discreetly hide your lavalier microphone, specifically Rode lavalier microphones, using Rode's new invisiLav. Check this out. Rode's invisiLav mic mounting system is really meant to work with Rode lavalier mics, first of all. So that's going to be the smartLav, smartLav Plus, and Rode lavalier. And what it does is it gives you a way to mount lavaliers discreetly, hidden, and also help you reduce a little bit of the clothing noise that comes when your talent moves. So that's really its purpose. Now, while the Rode is pretty good at both of these things, mounting the mic where you need it and holding it there, also reducing some of that clothing noise, it's not magical. So you need to set your expectations appropriately. It can help reduce some of those noise, but if your talent's moving wildly and flailing their arms and, rolling all over, it's not going to just totally isolate all of that sound. So it's really made for situations where where it's most useful is situations where your talent are not moving around too much. They can move their hands and things like that, but once they start waving their arms, all bets are off. The invisiLav comes in two different options. You can get the 10-pack or the 3-pack. The 3-pack obviously is less expensive in the United States. Here it's about $18 US, and then the 10-pack is somewhere around $40 US. It comes with the invisiLav itself, which is sort of this rubber, sort of a rubbery feel thing. You can see it definitely gives. And it's got kind of a smooth surface. And the idea, of course, is that you put your mic into one of the two slots designed to hold the mic. Specifically, these are designed for Rode smartLav, smartLav Plus, and lavalier mics, Rode lavalier, and really not designed for other manufacturers' mics if they have a very different shape. So that's one question I'm sure will come up. It can fit other mics, however. So for example, again, I mentioned the HMN Sound, the Giant Squid. Those mics are an Audio-Technica ATR 3350, very different shape than the Rode smartLav mics. However, here I have my Audio-Technica AT899, which again is also sort of considered a micro-sized lavalier, and it does seem to fit pretty nicely, and we could actually use it in this case. So that's just one thing to keep in mind there. It does give, or it flexes some, so again, in this case, it seems to work pretty nicely. It does have a slot for two different mics. Rode seems to build that as sort of redundancy feature. I'm not entirely sure. I've never shot redundant lav mics. When I do redundancy, I usually have one boom mic and one lav mic. So I don't know how useful that is, but it doesn't hurt. It doesn't get in the way. And then, of course, it comes with a couple of sanitary cleaners here if you're going to be mounting it to the skin. And then it comes with these pieces of two-sided tape, which are actually the same size as the invisiLav itself. And the great thing about that is then if you're mounting it to the interior of someone's clothing, like say, for example, between the two sides of the button placket, you would put one of these pieces of tape on either side of the invisiLav and then mount it there. And that way it's pretty well adhered to the shirt, and so as the talent moves, at least in theory, you shouldn't get a lot of noise of the clothing rubbing against the mic. And then of course you mount the mic, the cable, you would tape the cable to another spot within their clothing. So the way this works, of course, again, is you put the lav mic in here. It does have these little slots here for the cabling, so you have a little bit of the beginnings of a cable restraint system. Let's see if I can get that in there. It is a tight fit, so yeah, there we go. So there we have the, again, beginnings. You'd still want to tape, put a loop in the cable and then tape that so that it acts as a better restraint system. But that's the beginnings. Let's go ahead and get it on and see how it works. As a baseline, right now I have the Rode smartLav Plus mounted underneath my shirt just here, and I just have it clipped to the back, this part of the fabric here. And then no invisiLav. So this is just a comparison really quickly to see what happens. Now in the past I've used this technique. If your talent doesn't move, you can probably get away with it, but as soon as they start moving, it's a little less convenient and you get a lot more noise. Not only that, but it is also tricky. You never know what your wardrobe or your talent's wardrobe is going to be, so having the invisiLav gives you a lot more options. Here in this case, I can pull it off because again, I have a button-down shirt and we could just clip it to the back of the shirt without it showing and being very, very obvious, but you may not always have that option, which is why it's great to have the invisiLav along. All right, here we are outside. We have the Rode smartLav Plus mounted to me right here. I used the two-sided tape on the back of the invisiLav, stuck that to me, and then we just have a t-shirt over that, just so you can get a sense for what this sounds like. We have a little bit of a breeze going today, as you can see. So this is kind of the perfect use case for this kind of scenario where you would want to use a lav outside, but you need some protection in addition to wanting to hide the lav. So this is what it sounds like. The question is, how well does it hold up when your talent starts moving around? And that's really the question here. So one of the big challenges I've had in the past is if I do mount it underneath, I need my talent to stay relatively still. They can move a little bit, but if they start moving too much, the mic starts rubbing against their clothes and things don't sound so good. So let's do some movement here. Looks a little silly, I apologize for that, but it is a test, so let's see what that sounds like. Okay, another use case that I run into quite frequently doing corporate style videos is interviews, talking head type things where the talent is wearing a button down shirt like this. And what Rode recommends in this case is that you actually put the double-sided tape on both sides of the invisiLav and sort of sandwich in between the placket here and the fabric on the back. So in between the buttons essentially. And this is what that sounds like. Let me move around a little bit to see what it sounds like and how much interference we get. If my back cracks, that doesn't count. Okay, that's what this one sounds like. The nice thing again with this is that it, if you are working outdoors, it does manage some of the wind sound a little bit. Better than certainly than most boom mics, unless you have the kind of the high-end blimp cover for the shotgun mic. So this is probably a less expensive way to record effectively outdoors when you have a little bit of a breeze. Now, a few notes about this. The two-sided tape is a little bit tricky at first. Stick with it. You're all smart people. You'll figure it out. The two-sided tape also works great on skin, works great on clothing. No problem there. However, on clothing, it will leave a little bit of a residue. And in my case, I found that it left a residue on my shirt. After the first wash, there was still a little bit of residue there. After the second wash, it seemed to have disappeared. So it's not totally permanent, but you do need to probably cover the potential fact with your talent that this may leave a little bit of residue. It will wash out after a couple washes. You will eventually run out of the two-sided tape that comes with the kit if you use it regularly, and that's not a big deal. You can always use wig tape or toupee tape, which is available. I've got a link down below over on Amazon and lots of like beauty supply places and things of that nature. So not to worry, you can just use that as well. So overall, I think that the invisiLav mounting system is a pretty worthwhile investment. It's pretty affordable. I think it's going to help a little bit in terms of giving you more flexibility for mounting your lavalier mic, getting it out of the scene so it's invisible, and really kind of just adding that little bit more to your production value. I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions or insights, go ahead and leave those down below in our comments. And if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do that. And we'll get you more great videos on how to improve your lighting and sound for video. Talk with you soon.